Welcome to the Yogalebrity Podcast. I am Angelica. Today's topic is the power of taking action. I am joined by my lovely co-host, Justine Kennedy. Welcome back to the podcast, Justine.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here.
I'm so excited to be here. We're going to be talking today about the power of taking action. A lot of people talk a lot about a lot of things that they want. But action is actually how you get what you want. So today we're going to talk about taking action. What does action look like, right? So we're typically talking about yoga businesses, right? And one of the things is we'll start like for in-person. So when I first opened a yoga studio, there was a hard learning curve because I had always worked in retail where there was a marketing team that did all the marketing for you and all you had to do was sell. And I'm a great salesperson. You get them in the door, I can sell to them. But I didn't know how to get them in the door. I'd never had to do that before. And there was a real hard struggle. So what I realized was that I just needed to take action on learning how to get people in the door. And so I tried a number of different marketing techniques until I landed on some that worked. And we have this tendency, I think, to like try things and then be like, oh, that didn't work. I guess I'm no good at that. Which is so real. That's just why are people doing that?
Right. Trying something once. It's like learning something new. You're not going to be able to play a classical piano song the very first time you try. And there's no point, like if you want to be able to play piano really well, you can't just go, dun, dun, dun. Oh, didn't work. I'm done. I'm never going to be a pianist. You got to keep practicing. Yeah. That's how I started. I don't know how to play the piano very well, but when I took piano lessons in school, because that was something that we had at I went to a Waldorf school, so very like German philosophy, but it's like the hippie version of German.
I don't
German
know what that
hippies.
is. I don't know what a Waldorf school is.
You learn about fairies and gnomes and father time and winter angels, something like that. Really cool. I loved it. But you also get to play a lot of instruments. Like you play drums, you're in choir, you play recorders, you play the piano, you play the violin. You do each for like 1 year.
And yet you don't believe me that the devices are reading our minds, but you believe in gnomes.
I mean, I'm just saying that I have not done any research on if the devices are reading our minds. That's all I'm saying. Do you see my little gnome back there on my tree?
I have a tattoo. I have one tattoo. It is a fairy.
That's amazing.
I was at an aerial yoga class a few weeks ago, and we were talking about tattoos, and I was like, I got one tattoo. I got this stupid fairy right here. I wish I hadn't got it. And this girl next to me pulls the side of her pants down. She has a fairy tattoo in the same spot.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And we just started laughing. She's like, I hate this tattoo. And I was like, I know, me too.
Oh.
Anyhow, people like even me, like we are our enemy. That is who we're fighting all the time. We're just fighting ourselves. We're not fighting anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
We're just fighting ourselves. All the possibilities are out there. If someone else is doing it, you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
If someone else is doing it, you can do it. The possibilities for everything exists out there. But we put the kibosh on it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to a podcast this morning because Mark Zuckerberg was just on the Joe Rogan podcast. And everybody's, do we believe him or not? And I'm like, no, of course we don't believe him. I don't believe any of those people, like it's all just propaganda. I don't believe any of that, and the thing they were saying though was that imagine what it would have been like for him to be 22 years old and be instantly one of the richest people in the world. Like, what are the pressures on that? And like, you're still forming your frontal cortex is like still forming at that time, even in women,
Yeah.
It's not formed until like 25 in women and like 30 in men. And he's around all these people who are like legitimate snakes, because one of the things I realized, like I used to kind of want to be on the Forbes billionaires list like a long time ago before I opened my first yoga studio. That was like one of my dreams. And I like thought about it and I worked through it in my mind. And I realized that like in order to get to that level, you have to do something that is seriously unpleasant. Just owning the yoga studio, I had to do things that made people hate me. And just to keep the doors open, like that's just part of owning a business. And people don't understand. They don't understand that. They don't understand how you have to take action on things. You have to do things that are going to make some people unhappy. You're not going to be able to please everyone. That's how owning a business works. There are things that you have to do to keep the doors open. And it's unfortunate. And I realized that I don't want to do the things that you have to do to be on the Forbes billionaires list. So imagine he's surrounded by these people and how hard it must be,
Yeah.
So I don't know where we got off on that, but taking action. He took some action. He stole somebody's idea and took Facebook.
It's in the movie.
It's in the movie. I mean, it's probably true. Bill Gates did it.
I mean, I feel like, is any idea really an original idea? When it comes down to like the amount of
Windows was a great idea that they had for Apple. But was it Steve Jobs' idea? Or was it somebody else's idea and Steve just took it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I don't know. That's all very unrelated to us, which like comes down to like also like just take action, just do things. Like are we perfect? Are we in perfect situations right now? Like you can see Justine's dishwasher. My background is a whiteboard and my 500-hour certification. With this white wall in this house that we rent, that you're going to stay in this spare room when you come and visit me next month. Like the bed's across, like when you come in here and you see that there's like literally 1 foot from my desk to the bed. We have to push the bed against the wall in order for you to get in and out of the bed. Like push the desk against the wall. Anyhow, there is no perfect. There is no time where it's going to be exactly the way you want it. You're going to have to just do it. You're just going to, like Nike, you're going to just do it. There's that, who is that guy? Shia
LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf, yeah.
Yeah.
And he does that, just do it,
Yeah.
Anyhow, that's like old. That's like Vine, I hope they bring back Vine.
That would be awesome.
Oh my God.
That would be a game changer.
Right? Like if they could bring back Vine, who cares about TikTok? Of course, by the time this comes out, we'll know if TikTok is on longer or if it's, done forever. I leave the day that the TikTok's last day. I leave. I'm leaving America. TikTok isn't here. I'm going to Europe where they have it.
So you'll just keep it on your phone and find out when you come back if you can open it or not?
I guess what's going to happen is the American servers will be shut down. And so you will not it will not work.
Yeah.
But it will work in Europe. So all of you here will have no TikTok and I'll have it for 3 more weeks.
Oh my God.
I'll still be taking action. TikTok's where I got my start. I just started making TikToks and people liked it. And that's where I had a lot of my beginning sales. And it was a hard learning curve, though. Like creating content was a hard learning curve. You create content too. Do you feel like it's been like a learning curve for you to figure out like what the best things are, what people like, what they're interested in?
Yeah, I mean, I still feel like I am really deep in that learning curve. Like before I met you, like I knew about trending audio. I knew about like the idea that there were ways to be better than other platform or better than other people in making content, but I had no idea how to do it. And I look at things that I've posted like last month and I'm like, that was not very good. So I'm still really deep in the learning, and I got my start from your course, and that really was the beginning of how to create an Instagram or a TikTok that wasn't just for fun.
Yeah, if you're interested in learning how to create content, we have like testimonial after testimonial after testimonial of people who took that course who are just like, oh my gosh, this changed my life. And now I understand how to create content that people actually want to watch and that gets me leverage and that gets people interested in. I'm actually starting to live my dream, and it's pretty amazing. We'll drop the link below for you to, it's just angelicagovert.com/training. And if you go to that link and sign up, you will get a video, and then you get the opportunity to schedule a Zoom call with me where we can talk about your ideas, what it is that you're interested in doing, and see if what we offer is a good fit. I have 3 different levels of program. And so we can talk about what fits for you, no matter what, your budget is. So it's not free. Sometimes if you're getting on a call with somebody, it's always going to be over $1,000. I just want to let you know, all of you know, that anytime, no matter what it is, no matter who you're getting on a call with, I've had people get on a call with me and somebody thought it was going to be $24. I was like, are you joking? Like, I would waste my time to spend like hours with somebody, because you think about that from an hourly rate perspective, that doesn't make any sense. That's inefficient use of time, which is exactly also how I teach you what to do so that you're efficiently using your time when you're creating content, and how to do low ticket offers and high ticket offers and how to promote those. And we had somebody on the call this morning, and she was doing boosted posts, and I was like, that is a waste of your money. Do not do boosted posts. Do not do boosted posts. You have to actually learn how to go into Ads Manager. Like, it's not better than nothing. Boosted posts are not better than nothing. Some things are better than nothing. Like creating content that isn't that great is better than not creating any content at all, because you're getting better at it all the time. But you can never get better at boosted posts. Boosted posts are just a way for them to take your money. Do not do that. In my course, we go into detail about how to do meta ads if that's something that you want to do. I haven't gone over TikTok ads because I don't even know if TikTok's going to exist then. But whatever you do, whether you take my course, you take another course, like, you've got to just take action. What we're doing right now, you listening to this podcast, and we're glad you're here. I'm glad that you're listening to podcasts. I listen to podcasts all the time too. But this is productive procrastination.
Oh, I love that.
It is, right? That's what it is. When you're listening to a bunch of podcasts, you're watching other people's content, you're going to a bunch of conferences, you're taking a bunch of courses, that is productive procrastination. Taking what you have learned and putting it into play, taking my course and then actually making content. Like before we got on this, I was telling Justine, my friend just messaged me. She's like, I've been doing 2 reels a day again, and I tripled my sales. And it takes that.
Yeah.
This is a full-time job. So when people will say things like, I don't want to do that work, I don't want to work that hard, well, then you don't want it bad enough. You don't want it bad enough.
Yeah.
You don't want it bad enough. We were just talking recently about how you were like, oh, you can go, and why would you want to just, have a job when you can just leave and go on a hike or whatever, and then the job allows the hike to happen. But if you want the freedom, like in the words of Britney Spears, if you want the freedom, you better work, bitch. If you want to teach yoga full time, you better work, bitch.
Yeah, it's so true. And I mean, I feel like people have been talking about that with in-person teaching. Like at this point, I think everyone knows that if you're a full-time in-person teacher, you are like running all over town, you're working really hard, you're splitting profit with a studio, or you're running your own studio, like you are working super hard. And sometimes there's this fallacy that's on the internet of like, get rich overnight. I'm going to change your life in like 10 days, take this crash course so you get through your email, like whatever it is. Um, and that's just not true. Like, I think you work more than a lot of people I know. Like, you're working on holidays, you're gonna prep all of your content so you can go on this trip and you're still producing stuff. And I'm just curious, like, you're making podcasts, you're making reels, you're making TikToks, you're making YouTubes, and you're running online trainings. How do you get it all done? How do you stay motivated? And how do you stay consistent?
This is why I'm leaving the country. Um, this is why I was like, I should book a trip. And then I did moments later. I think that, something I was thinking about on my walk this morning is that you have to always be inspiring yourself. You have to always be thinking about how you can inspire yourself. How can you make your life more life? How can you live more? Like life isn't about being in a box, it's about living more. And there's this song, it's like a country song about live every day like you're dying, you know? And I mean, every time I think about that song, it makes me want to cry. I'm like, I went skydiving. I'm like, it's like his dad died and he like did all these things. But it's so true. Like you have to live that way. And if you feel
Mm-hmm.
unhappy with where you're at, you have to change it. Like you just have to change it because you are not promised tomorrow. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to drive tonight to go to my hot yoga class out in the middle of nowhere because I really like this class. And it's like 30 minutes from my house. And it's this like young teacher. She's got to be about your age. And she'd be out there, she'd walking around the room giving all these inspirational things. I'm like,
Aw.
I'm 50, I don't care, but I like her class. Anyway, she's playing this really loud music. I'm like, whatever, I'm sweating. I like her. She's cute.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's the innocence of being young. But, I recently got approved for a home loan. And we've been looking at houses. And I'm having this like crisis of faith. Like, I don't really want to buy a house. I don't really
Mm-hmm.
want to redo a kitchen. I don't really like, I've been telling myself, like, you have to buy a house because where are you going to live when you're old? You know, what are you going to
Mm-hmm.
do when you're old? What if you can't work anymore? And I just have never lived that way. I've never
Yeah.
lived in fear. I've always been like, let's go move into the camper. Let's go live on a sailboat. Let's go backpack around Europe. Like that's my personality because I'm always like, you could die tomorrow. And really, like my mom died at 61, my uncle died at 55. Like it's not unrealistic to think that I could be driving to hot yoga tonight, get in a car accident and die. Like, like I don't want that to happen. I'm not trying to make that happen. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you got to live like that could happen,
Mm-hmm.
because you just really don't know what's going to happen next. And I don't ever want to laying down in my bed, lay my head down on my bed. I'm going to start that sentence over. I don't ever want to lay my head on the pillow at night and feel like I haven't lived a day that was worthy of being my last day,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so for me, I think I'm just constantly inspired by that thought, that like, what if this is it? And for the online stuff, like this lasts forever. Like people can come back and listen to this podcast or people can come back and watch this YouTube because we're putting it on YouTube now, which has been really phenomenal, by the way. My YouTube growth is like really grown significantly since we've started to put it on YouTube, the podcast, which is a great like double duty. Like do double duty when you can. Like and then we don't do a lot of like where we create reels from these podcasts, but I should. That's how I should be doing all this so I can put two freaking reels out a day. I should
Yeah.
be like creating like nonstop, like the AI creates it. You just got to go through and watch them and be like, oh, okay, I like this one and edit it a little bit and upload it, you know? Like that's what I should do. I should be doing one a day that's from the podcast and then one a day that's the other style that I do. I'm doing a lot of repeats right now, stuff that I put out like a year ago. Cause like these people don't know. And the people that do know don't care. They're like, oh, her hair's a different color.
That's awesome. I love the internet for that reason. I feel like I see stuff like that all the time where I'm like, this was 2 years ago. That's okay.
It's
I'm
okay.
still enjoying it.
People that like you are like, oh yeah, that video. The one where she drops the yoga block and it hits the drum. Ba-dum-bum. That literally happened while I was filming a video. So, I mean, I think it's hard. That's why I do things like 75 hard, where you have to like really win the day. You have to really focus. I use Trello to organize my to-do list, what I'm doing. I do keep to-do lists. I have a great planner too. Highly recommend this planner. This is going to be in my Amazon storefront. It's called the Productivity Planner. Within each day, it has these like bubbles. Okay. And the bubbles, you can see you put your information in there of like the top 3 things you want to do for the day. And then the bubbles represent 30 minutes. So you say like, okay, I'm going to record podcasts and it's going to be 4 bubbles. That's 2 hours. And then when you're done, you fill in the bubbles of how many bubbles it actually took. And you will find that things take a lot more bubbles than you think. And so that's why it's so important to wake up every day. And this is what I do every day. What is the one thing that if I did that today would push my business forward the most? What is the one thing if I did that today would push my business forward the most? And then the second thing I have is what Andy Frisella calls a power list. And so it's 5 things that you do every day, no matter what. So for me, that would be like post 2 Instagram reels, right? Like I think really where I'm at right now is my power list needs to be reevaluated.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Right? Reach out to a lead, text back a lead to see what they're doing, And I love texting. I love the texting. I finally got the capability to do texting, and I do a lot more texting with people now than I do emails because nobody answers their emails. If y'all are on my email list, would you please just open those emails?
They take time. This is a real human putting effort into sending you an email. And it's hard.
I do the emails.
Please read them. They're cute.
I worked on it. Yeah. So, I mean, I think, all that being said, one thing that I had to realize a while back is, I'm going to try to make this a shorter story than it actually is. But when I grew up in a very tumultuous home. My adopted dad was an alcoholic. He was abusive and he ran around on my mom with much younger women, underage women, because he managed a fast food restaurant. And so he had access to underage women and he was sleeping around all the time. And he was very abusive to my mom. And, abusers don't tell, like, they're very conniving. And so me and my sister really idolized him and thought he was like the best ever. And really, he treated my mom like dirt. And my mom was abusive to us. So there's like this trickle down effect, of abuse that was happening. And I remember growing up and just really wanting to have a better life, like just really wanting to live a good life, to be happy, to do what I wanted with my life. And I would just tell myself over and over again, this is just temporary. This is just temporary. When I get on my own, I am going to do everything I want. I'm going to be so successful. And, in the words of Scarlett O'Hara, I will never be hungry again. And as God is my witness, I will never be hungry again. And that's kind of like how I felt. Like when I get out of this house, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And I did. I worked 2 jobs. I moved out my junior year of high school. The day I turned 17, I moved out and I had two jobs. I waited tables and I did that for many years. I had two jobs for most of the time through college. And I paid my way through college. I had grants and loans. I became emancipated so that I could get into school and get loans and all that. And then I worked my way up the corporate ladder and had a condo on the beach in Miami and was living the high life. And had everything I could ever want. Traveled all over the world. I worked for a French company. I lived in France for a while. I've traveled to 32 different countries. I traveled Tuesday through Friday for work. I got to keep all my points. I saved all of them and went to incredible places: Istanbul, Egypt, Barcelona, Costa Rica, Peru. I've been all over this planet. And I in 2008, I lost my job like a lot of people did in the market crash. And I mean, definitely there was hardness, that there was like difficulty that went through that. That's a whole different story that I'm not going to share today because it's traumatic and upsetting. But I ended up being like picking up my bootstraps and being like, I'm going to open my yoga studio because I got nothing left to lose. I got nothing left to lose. So I might as well do this. So I was teaching poker players how to do yoga so that they could be better at their poker game. And these were guys that made like millions of dollars doing poker. And I was like, how do you play poker? Tell me about it. And they taught me how to play poker. And I never played with like millions of dollars, but I played with thousands. I was a thousandaire. And so I played poker full time for a few years, and that's how I got the money to open my first yoga studio. Like, where there's a will, there's a way. When you want something bad enough, the universe conspires. You just have to take action. You just have to take action on your dreams and your goals. And so then I opened my first yoga studio, and then I opened my second yoga studio, then I opened my third yoga studio, and then I sold it. And then we went and traveled all over. And the thing is, I used to think anybody could do those things. I used to think anybody could do that. I really, truly believed that. And partially in my core, I do believe that still. But not everybody wants to.
Mhm.
And even more accurately, not everyone is willing to do the work that it takes to get there. I think there's a level of work that comes from trauma. You know, like from growing up with trauma, I know you had trauma in your background as well. And it makes you a harder person. It makes you a stronger person. And it makes your desires to achieve and work just so much more.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Mm.
You look at like the really big people, you look at Tony Robbins, you look at Oprah Winfrey, you know, you look at their histories, whatever we think about them individually, it doesn't really matter. That's inconsequential. You look at their history, they have experienced extreme trauma and they turned that around. You look at somebody like, I don't know if you all have read J.D. Vance's book. I can't remember what it's called. I'm listening to it on audio right now. It's like Hillbilly Elegy, I think is what it's called. There was a movie about it. That is my exact childhood. Oh, like there are things that happened to him that like verbatim, I was like, oh my God, that's what my life was like. Like
Mm.
that book is insane. Like I cried through that entire movie and I called my sister. I was like, this was our life. Like that man is where he's at today because of his trauma.
Mhm.
Like unrelated to however people feel about different stuff. I'm just saying like as a relation from trauma to success, like those there's something to be learned from that. And I think that like when you experience extreme trauma as a child, you're just more driven. You're just more
Mhm.
driven. I know I can't wait for you to meet Paul. We are opposites. Um, we have a lot in common in the way of like we see society the same way. We both want like the same kinds of things. We both like to travel. We're like both pretty laid back and you know, we're like vegetarians, like shit like that, right? But
Mhm.
our drive is completely different. Like I
Yeah.
recently applied to a job for him. He was okay with it. He's like, whatever,
Yeah.
I got your resume. I'm gonna put it into ChatGPT and I'm gonna write a cover letter that's like specific for this job.
Mhm.
And he had not got an interview. He's been applying to jobs for a year and he hasn't been able to get any interviews. Immediately, I applied for him. I'm very good at the application process.
Mhm.
I'm excellent at getting hired. When it comes to doing the actual job, I am not much of an employee. I immediately go into places and I'm like, this is inefficient.
Mhm.
You're treating your employees very wrong here. This is breaking a lot of laws.
And they're
They
like,
don't
"Don't
like
tell me that."
They don't like that. Well, employers are constantly breaking laws, and people are
Mhm.
not willing to stand up for themselves because they're so afraid of losing their job.
Yeah.
They're so afraid of losing their job. And it doesn't have to be that way. Like you can create your own freedom. You can create your own job. It's just a lot of work. It's a lot of work on the front end,
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
know?
and it can be like, I think people have a difficult time with the uncertainty of it, like the what ifs of like, well, what if I quit my job and I start my online business and it fails? And it's just
What if your
people
job
getting
fires you tomorrow?
right. Yeah.
What if your place of work burns down and it's gone? What if somebody comes in and they don't like you anymore? You get a new boss and they don't like you and they make
Mhm.
your life a living hell. There's a what if in everything, you
Right.
know? Like if you're a person that's going to be, and I don't mean you personally, that probably wasn't the best way to say that. I'm going to say it that way
I
anyway.
totally
It's
yeah,
going to be
I
it's
get
going
what
to be
you're
a great
saying.
soundbite. It's going to be a great
Yeah.
soundbite for the reels and the shorts. If you're the kind of person that is afraid of the what ifs, what's going to happen if you start your own business? What's going to happen if it's not successful? What's going to happen if it fails? I'm going to let you know right now. It's going to fail. I've failed. It will fail. You will have failure after failure after failure until you have success. Success only happens once. Failure keeps happening until success happens. And then you up level it to the next level and it's failure, failure, failure until you have success.
Mhm.
Right? So we're constantly in this state of like being so afraid of failure, being so afraid of losing something when you've already lost it because of your fear. You've already lost having a great life. You've already lost living your dream because you're so afraid. Stop being afraid. Just start doing it. Just get
Mhm.
into action. You don't have to quit your job. It's not all or nothing. You can do both for a while. That's what my friend Lissa did. I was in a
Mhm.
position where I didn't have to work because I had recently sold the studio, so I had money. So I was able to just throw myself into teaching online right away. But my friend Lissa wasn't like that. She didn't go full time until she was like 6 years into online, and now she's
Mhm.
doing quite well, so, but she's 10 years into it now.
Yeah. And she kept up with it. She
Right.
kept working.
But she still works at it too. That's the other thing too, is that people think like it's going to come to this point where you're not going to have to work anymore. You're still going to have to work. We're still recording this podcast. I'm
Mhm.
still working when I go on my trip. I'm carrying my stupid backpack with my little Mac. I'm going to leave the Big Mac. I'm going to take my little Mac with me
Mhm.
to Portugal, hike that thing across Portugal, you know? Hopefully nobody's going to come through with a slashy knife and cut it, take my computer. That would be devastated.
Yeah.
At least it would be my old Mac. You still have to work. We still have to record this podcast. We still have to send out the emails. We still have to write the blog posts. We still have to create the reels. We still have to do things, right? We still got to do the work,
Mhm.
you know? So It's just like a job, but it's one where you work for yourself. And you have to ask yourself, would I fire myself or would I employ me? Am I a good employee for myself, for the job of working for me, Yogalebrity LLC? Or am I a bad employee? You know, would I fire
Mm-hmm.
me? Probably today I would keep me on staff. Yesterday, maybe not so much. It just depends on the day.
And that's okay, but you still got to do the work.
Right. Because you'll get the results of the amount of work that you put in.
Exactly.
It really does work that way. It really does work that way.
Mhm.
All right, everyone, take action. If your action means becoming an online yoga teacher or you want to teach in person, it doesn't matter. If you want to become a yoga teacher, you can check out my online 200-hour yoga teacher training. We do it one-on-one. It's very focused on you individually. It's a premier training. There's nothing else like this on the internet. Same with my 300-hour training. 300-hour training is primarily electives based, so you choose what it is that you want to learn. And also the Empowered Yoga Teachers course, where we teach you how to build an online business. So if you're interested in any of those things, please go to angelicagovert.com/training. We will put the link below in the description. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Make sure that if you got anything out of this podcast, that you share it. Share the show. Please share the show. It's how we grow. Leave us a 5-star review on the platform of your choice. That really helps us a lot. I know a lot of people are under the impression, when I first started making YouTubes, when we lived in the camper, I had a friend say to me, "Oh my gosh, how much money do you make on YouTube?" And I was like, "Nothing. I make nothing. We make nothing from YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Make nothing from YouTube at all. Nothing. We just make these videos." She's like, "I
Yeah.
thought YouTube pays you." And it does. But you have to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time every single year, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
I think now it's 500 subscribers. They changed it, but it's still 4,000 hours of watch time, which is a ton. Just to give you some perspective, I have 1,600 hours of watch time this year on my YouTube channel. Imagine how much work it is to get to 4,000.
Wow.
It's a lot. And then when they pay you, it's like 0.000032 cents per view.
Yeah.
So
Get like a penny for every 1,000
right.
views or something.
You put out a video, you make in $1.50, So
Mm-hmm.
for podcasts, it's even worse. We make nothing to make this podcast. I pay Justine to get on here and do this with me. So, your sharing the show really helps us. And I think too, that's another thing, people don't realize, maybe you'll never buy a program from me. I hope that you do. I hope that you come into our inner circle. You become part of our world. We have incredible people on my staff and incredible clients that we work with, and we really elevate each other and help each other. And people take my programs, they're crying at the end. They're so happy. And they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's the best thing I ever did." And it is, it's incredible. It's amazing. And we go the extra mile for people. But if that's not something that's ever in your stratosphere and you're never going to do that, you can really pay us back by sharing the show,
Mm-hmm.
liking and commenting. Comments are huge. Instagram is pushing shares right now, so they're more likely to show you if a lot of people shared your content. So share my content on Instagram. That helps. Everything like that helps. Your interaction helps. It helps me to maybe get to somebody who really is interested in creating an online business. You don't even know that person. It really works. It works in the bigger scheme of the world, It's a really beautiful thing. So make the internet a good place. We love you all. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Any final words, Justine?
I think you summed it up really well.
She's saying that because I pay her. Okay. We'll see you all later. Thank you so much. And by the time we speak to you again, I will have hopefully completed the Camino de Santiago, Portugal coastal way. If I give up and decide to just go drinking in France, that's also a possibility. No, I'm not drinking because I'm doing 75 hard. But I might go and eat cheese. I don't know. Anyhow,
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed it all works out. We never know what's going to be next. And we'll see you on the other side. Thank you, friends.
Bye.